1015 FM, 720 AM. KDON, the talk of Las Vegas.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the #1 professional wrestling radio show in Las Vegas. This is the Mark Hoke Show. The Mark Hoke Show. 1 full hour of wrestling news, entertainment, and lots of Sin City surprises from inside the squared circle. Now, let's bring on the host. Here is Mark Hoke.
Mike's not.
There you go.
Hexa, Jim Hoke. Mark Hoke. I don't know how you want to say it.
Oh, jeez. I used to, it's funny. I used to do that when I was loading trucks.
But Ho?
The hoe. I would get
Not the Godfather's hoe.
No.
Jim Duggan's
God,
hoes.
that would have been amazing. But but I actually used to do that when I worked for Roadway, older trucking company. But I did that and would get the whole place doing it. Because, it was tough loading trucks sometimes. And you kind of needed a giggle.
I could absolutely not imagine how tough it must have been. All joking aside.
I did it one-armed one night.
That must have been fun for you.
Nothing like a subluxating shoulder.
No.
It's a hoot.
A hoot and a holler.
That's why I felt bad for Fernando Tatis in baseball all year, because I knew what he was going through. Anyway, hey, I'm Mark Hoke. This is the Mark Hoke Show. And I've got two amazing guys that I get to work with every week. They are awesome. First, Andrew Fish Fain, everybody.
Good morning. Happy Sunday.
Yeah. By the way, I always forget to mention this. Don't forget, tomorrow night, 8 o'clock Pacific, you can tune into SportsX Radio with Ken Thompson, but it is the Fish and Chip Show, sometimes with a variant here and there.
Once in a while.
Substitute tag team partner. In case Chips gets a concussion or something like that.
Card subject to change.
Yes, card is subject to change. But tune into those guys. They do a fantastic job, and I'm sure they're going to have a lot to talk about, especially after college football yesterday. Yikes.
Absolutely.
Another guy who probably didn't enjoy college football yesterday because I'm guessing some tickets might have gotten ripped up. Maybe. We're going to find out. The king of future stars of wrestling here in Las Vegas, Joe DeFalco's here, everybody. What's going on, Joe?
Oh, I wish I had two amazing people to work with, but besides that, I had a good day in college football, by the way.
Did you?
Yes, I had my nice my 4-team parlay. I'm a teaser guy, but I still loaded up a little bit on my parlay, and I squeaked by at Oklahoma, who was ready to get a field goal, and I was laying 3.5, and they broke it and scored a touchdown at the end, and then I had Michigan, who came back and won by 3, laying 2.5, and I had Iowa laying 2, and they came back and won by 3.
Oh, don't even talk to me about that. I'm a Penn State guy. I went to North Dakota State, but I grew up in South Central Pennsylvania. So
yeah,
watching Clifford get hurt made me cry.
Big Ten did me well yesterday.
Well, good for you.
Yes,
good for you, man. Well, I'm proud of you. Jeez,
but he doesn't have two good people to work with, so
Oh, you know what? I'm available.
1-800-JOE-WINS. It's available online.
There you go. Well, we're talking pro wrestling here, and man, O'Day, I'm trying not to laugh in pain of some of the stuff that went on in the last week. We had the lead because the first thing Fish did when he came into the studio was, I can't believe what's going on with the King and Queen of the Ring tournaments and what they did to the women. That's
funny because that was the first thing I thought was the Queen of the Ring. Wow, they got 2 minutes.
Yeah. If they were lucky.
And that was the lead. We're going to get into that. It was the lead until Friday. So Vince McMahon, of course, they're going to be on FS1 this week with SmackDown, which their numbers always drop because they're not on
fewer subscribers, right?
Decides, I'm going to extend my show. For those that may not know, SmackDown runs 8 to 10, and then AEW Rampage is on from 10 to 11. So now, Vince is going into AEW Rampage. It seems like a real jerk move. Would you agree with that, guys?
I would say that's a typical Vince McMahon move, yes.
Here's my shot. I'm on Fox. I'm on FS1. Screw it. Let's extend the show, and I'm going to take some viewers away from
And if
from
that's
Rampage.
where the story ended, it wouldn't be our lead.
it wouldn't have.
I think he should go 8-11 myself, but, that's me.
So then Tony Khan, the head of AEW, sees the guillotine sitting in the corner and says, I'm going to put my head in it. Thanks, Vince. Puts up a tweet and says, I saw you're doing a half-hour head-to-head with us. I can't wait to finally beat your main show head-to-head. It's been a long time coming. See you next Friday for AEW Rampage on AEW on TNT.
And even that may not have been our lead until the final shot fired so far by Vince McMahon. The final half hour of SmackDown is going to be commercial free.
So now...
Oh, boy, instead of a minute and a half of commercials.
So Tony Khan, instead of saying, that's interesting. Well, hey, we're going to do a great show. I'm sure Vince is going to have a great show too. Watch them both. We hope you'll tune in live for us. We're the new kids on the block. Hey, have fun. No, he has to, in a situation where he's going against WWE's main show, and Vince McMahon was going to look like a total bully and overreacting and trying to make a jerk move, now Tony Khan put himself in a corner. I mean, I swear to God, you couldn't have painted yourself in a worse corner with this whole thing. And here's why I say that, and you guys can kind of react to it. So now Tony also committed and said, I'm at least at the moment, I'm not changing the card. Not changing my card. Here's what I'm going with. So his matches that night are CM Punk going against Matt Sydal. For those WWE fans that may not know Matt, that was Evan Bourne. So Punk is on the show.
Took the greatest RKO out of nowhere ever.
It was. Ruby Soho is going against the Bunny. And then you've got the Inner Circle taking on Men of the Year, which is Scorpio Sky, Ethan Page. And Junior Dos Santos makes his debut on AEW. What is... So now here's a problem. If CM Punk, number one, if you lose the ratings battle, you shot your mouth off, and you look like you just overreacted and acted cocky. Second, you set CM Punk up for a possible ratings failure because he's down at the moment. It's going to be Punk Sydal probably going against Becky and Sasha. What do you want? And plus, SmackDown's on first. What are you probably going to watch? I hate to say it. Probably going to watch SmackDown.
And if they're not going to give Becky and Sasha the whole 30 minutes to wrestle, I figure they probably will. But if they don't, just the first 10 minutes, Brock Lesnar making an appearance on SmackDown, I guarantee you that's when he makes his appearance.
You have a possibility of doing something with Lesnar and Reigns there too. So what does AEW do? Now, could you put some matches together that would compete against that I would turn the dial? Yes, absolutely. But you risk screwing up storylines. You risk hurting somebody's future booking.
More importantly, it shows that you're now scared of the WWE because you had to change your card to make it bigger.
Well, I don't know.
Maybe they should have had better matches than CM Punk against Matt Sydal. Who cares?
Now, see, I could see if you would do something like if you would put Punk and Danielson against Omega and Adam Cole, that's going to turn the dial.
Or the Bucks, yeah, absolutely.
Something along that line that would get people to switch and say, "Oh, I'm going to watch this later." That's fine. You could do some sort of an FU Vince match where you take a bunch of guys that had wrestled in WWE. For example, you would do like Andrade, Malachi Black, and Miro going against, say, Bryan Danielson, Cody Rhodes, and even maybe throw Sting in there. You've got other guys like Bobby Fish, Jericho, Mox, Luchasaurus, and even Paul White and Mark Henry to throw in
there
too.
Then they would really switch the dial to SmackDown.
Yeah, I mean, just some ideas, but what a fiasco. And Vince set that trap, and Tony just walked right into it. So I'll give you guys the floor on that.
He's schooling the Rook. That's all. It's Vince McMahon, as out of his mind he may be with the things that he does. That's the typical. Hey, you got your pay-per-view on WCW. We're going to run a free event. That's business. That's what you got to do. WWE is the king. You want to talk and talk and talk about how AEW is this and AEW is that. Guess what? Now you get to run against us. Now show that you're in our league, because I truly believe Vince McMahon does not believe that AEW is in their league, and he doesn't perceive guys as the Young Bucks and Omega, and he got rid of Andrade and Malachi Black and Cody Rhodes and all these guys because he didn't think they were good enough anyway. So it's not going to change his opinion because Triple H said so.
Well, Joe, I'm just curious what you would have done. Put yourself in Tony Khan's shoes for a minute. McMahon
Absolutely.
makes that announcement. What would you have done?
If there's a company who comes to Vegas and they want a hot shot and try to use some of our best guys and do things like that and run this show, and we've had that in the past where they've kind of like run shows against us. Well, if that's the situation, I can be very vindictive. You guys want to play. Well, we're the number one game in town. So you know what we're going to do? We're going to have a fan appreciation night, and we're going to have a free show, and we're going to have a barbecue with hamburgers and hot dogs for our fans. Well, number one, they were going to come to our show most likely anyway. Now they're definitely coming to our show.
Yeah.
You got to be protective of your territory. AEW is making inroads. Let's see. Remember when TNA? Oh, we're going to go head-to-head, Bischoff has. And they got Hulk Hogan, and they got Jeff Hardy, and they had, AJ Styles, and they had all these guys, and Eric Bischoff. And guess what? They got slaughtered.
Yeah, if you're going to take a shot at the king, you better not miss.
Exactly. And
the bottom line is Rampage, CM Punk against Daniel Garcia, CM Punk versus Matt Sydal. It's like big deal. Like you brought this guy back and everybody wants to see him, like with Darby Allin, fantastic. But, Powerhouse Hobbs and Matt Sydal, that isn't going to get people like, oh, my God, I got to see this match with CM Punk.
Exactly.
Now, if he's wrestling Omega, he's wrestling Page, he's wrestling Danielson, he's wrestling in a tag. That way they can set up the turn of Danielson and CM Punk, whoever's going to turn, against the Young Bucks or Pentagon and Phoenix, whatever. Then there's a reason to get excited. It's 2021, so I don't watch it live. I tape it and I watch it later. If I'm that much of a wrestling fan, I'm going to find a way to watch them both. It ain't 1957.
Exactly.
And Vince gets the built-in excuse of saying, no matter what happens, well, we were on FS1. We weren't even on our regular channel. So if you beat us, it's because we had fewer viewers to draw from. And if you don't beat us, it's we beat you and we were on FS1. We didn't even have to try.
Well, they're both on cable, so that shouldn't be the excuse.
Yeah, it was just a bad thing for Tony Khan to say.
He painted himself into a corner.
He did. It was a big mistake, and and hopefully his promotion doesn't pay for it.
He's brash. He's young. He's got daddy's money, and
Well, yeah, I don't know if this is going to work out for him this time, though.
I don't think that the damage done here will be so bad for either side, to be honest with you. No matter what happens.
Well, it may be the young puck might.
It was the same thing when they were so excited that they beat the
young one.
WWE third string minor league show NXT.
Yeah, I mean,
like that wasn't a great moment in my opinion, but it came out as like, oh, NXT, they beat NXT.
Well, of course they were, and of course they were going to beat NXT.
Right.
Of course they were.
It's like, who cares? But they played it up, and then the demographics, and when you guys give the numbers, hey, and Raw and this, and it's like, okay, who had the most viewers? And it's like, they're never beating WWE. So Obviously TNT likes them. They've got a good relationship. They got another show. It took WCW many years to get a second show, Thunder, and that helped bury the company. So.
Yes, it did. Yes, it did. Yeah, by the way, real fast since we mentioned NXT, just a quick thing before we get into the Queen and King of the Ring tournaments. Did you see what the average demographic or average age for a viewer of NXT, the show that was now supposed to be the hip show for all the kids?
No, I did not.
62.
Was it really?
62.
I don't believe that.
That's what it said.
Yeah.
Can you believe? I saw that number come out and I was like, you've got to be kidding me. Talk about, Triple H is probably just sitting in the corner. Okay. Yeah. So that was an interesting
Mandy
fail
Rose
this week
does.
too.
Mandy Rose does look good with dark hair.
The only way that's possible is if all these old timers are falling asleep watching Psych, and then all of a sudden
Yeah, there you go.
That is a distinct possibility.
That's how we used to get ratings on the CW. We'd be on at like 2 a.m, and like 1 week we'd be like 0.3, and the next week we'd be like 1.2. And it's like, how's that humanly possible? It's because there's like almost no Nielsen boxes in Vegas, and My Name is Earl was on, and they probably fell asleep, and it ran into High Octane. Hey, we got viewers. And it's like, if 4 people with boxes didn't watch our show, our rating didn't even show. It was like the biggest farce ever. But when we did good, believe me, that was the first thing we post on Facebook and social media. Hey, we drew a 1.2. That was better than TNA. They drew an 0.9, because you're using it to try to get people, sponsors, to give you money.
Yep, absolutely. Absolutely. So, interesting little situation there as well. Okay, so we may push our commercial break up a little bit. So, Picasso, just be right. We might slide her up just a hair, because I want to talk about the situation with the women's division, King of the Ring and Queen of the Ring tournaments.
Well, I was going to say,
Queen's
I
Crown
heard
tournament.
that the 30 minutes on SmackDown was going to be the entire Queen of the Ring show.
The way they booked it might have been.
They could do like 7 matches in 30 minutes.
If you are a female wrestler in WWE right now, and you just watched your women's championship picture get totally scrambled, you watched all your tag teams just get busted up in the draft. Literally every one of them, except for your champions. And then this Queen's Crown fiasco, where your first 2 matches of this tournament that everybody's been dying to have total go 5 minutes. What are you thinking right now, Fish? I mean, can you imagine what the morale is for the ladies in there?
Not only that, and this is my problem also with the King of the Ring, and these tournaments were supposed to be built up to be these huge tournaments, and the first of all, having automatically basically be a quarterfinal the first round is ridiculous. It needs to be bigger. Second of all, the participants they chose, I'm like, there needs to be names in this tournament to make this tournament mean something, and you're giving me Zelina Vega against Toni Storm, and then you're burying Toni Storm.
Which was unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable. Joe, what are your thoughts on it?
How different is it than the men's division? Isn't the King of the Ring used to be like a pay-per-view that was a big deal.
Yeah, every match was on that night. When the Macho Man Savage beat King Kong Bundy to win his, the first match of the night on that pay-per-view, he wrestled 4 times, I believe, that night to win King of the Ring, and then it meant something. And you're right, you look at the men's bracket, and we were talking about this as well. Sami Zayn can't wrestle in Saudi Arabia, so he can't win to get to the final. So Finn Balor's automatically getting to the final. We already know this because Sami can't wrestle in Saudi Arabia.
Yeah, let's get...
but you know that. Most of the fans have no idea that Sami Zayn, first off, who would think Sami Zayn was going to win that tournament anyway?
I would love to see Sami Zayn as King of the Ring.
Most stop-starts that I've seen in ages.
It's bad.
Makes no
it
sense.
Bad.
Yeah,
they get treated badly.
Both him and Kevin Owens have been treated so piss poorly. It's ridiculous.
Let me give the brackets for these tournaments, by the way, just so you, and for those of you that may not have seen them, know what we're talking about. The Queen's Crown tournament. First round matches: Toni Storm against Zelina Vega. Vega wins in a couple of minutes. Carmella against Liv Morgan. Carmella wins in like a minute.
Because we haven't seen Carmella and Liv Morgan fight before.
What a minute and a half it was.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They could have did it a 20-minute match, but how much action was packed together in that minute and a half?
Unbelievable. On the other side of the bracket, Doudrop is against Natalya
On Monday night.
and Dana Brooke is against Shayna Baszler.
Dana Brooke.
We might, if we have time, we're going to get into what happened with Dana Brooke. But
How is Eva Marie not the locked winner of this? I don't understand.
Oh God, if they'd have put Eva Marie in this, oh Lord. The men's side, we had two matches to open things up. Rey Mysterio against Sami Zayn. Sami Zayn winning that one.
Dominic's about to make his heel turn.
I know.
Oh boy, I see it. I see it.
Finn Balor against Cesaro. Finn Balor wins that one.
That was actually a good match.
Yeah. So we've got Finn and Sami Zayn coming up. Kofi Kingston goes against Jinder Mahal on Raw, and then Xavier Woods is taking on Ricochet. And of course, when the WWE did a poll on Twitter, who do you want to see win King of the Ring? And of course, Xavier Woods blows it up and I should be King of the Ring. And I was like, yeah, you should be King of the Ring.
Are we not purposely setting up Kofi versus Xavier Woods?
Probably, but. Man, this just doesn't excite me that much.
No, not at all. Those again, the names they chose. Where do they come up with the names for either side? There are so many bigger guys that deserve a better push to be pushed to the King of the Ring tournament than any of the guys they chose.
I'm looking forward to Ricochet versus Jinder Mahal in the finals myself.
That's a semifinal. You can't do that. That's a semifinal.
I'm disappointed.
Yeah, and now, of course, like I said, Sami Zayn. The finals are going to be at Crown Jewel in Saudi Arabia. Sami Zayn, for personal reasons, will not wrestle in Saudi Arabia.
I don't think he's allowed to because he's part Syrian.
Yeah,
that's his fault. See, he don't want to go, so he can't win. Why is the blame on WWE? He doesn't want to go.
Why put him in the tournament then?
Yeah.
If you were going to, if you weren't having the finals at Crown Jewel, different story. So there's a few possibilities here.
Finn Balor, Jinder Mahal, just because it's in Saudi Arabia, it makes sense to have Jinder Mahal there. Other than that, it's either Finn Balor versus probably Xavier Woods.
Probably.
Well, then why not just have Mansoor win it?
Well, that'd be fun. Let's get Bastion Booger out there while we're on.
Well, they had Mansoor win that Battle Royale a couple of years ago at the Crown Jewel because he was there.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
They could have Ali against Mansoor. Boy.
Yeah, so this... Just a disastrous week for the women. Disastrous week with the King of the Ring tournament, the Queen's Court tournament. I mean, a great opportunity ruined again.
But I got to give Pat McAfee and Michael Cole credit. They sounded excited about it.
But just look at the logistics. They're trying to run two separate tournaments in the same 2-hour show.
And that is true. You are jamming it in there, but
how does that make sense?
Just make it. If they'd have made this a pay-per-view, something. I mean, just
not with the talent that they have on it, nobody would buy it.
Well, and the thing was too with this bracket, the brackets didn't even come out. They announced a couple matches for SmackDown, but they hadn't even announced the brackets at that point. So I swear to God, if they just did their dartboard thing again.
I just can't believe Charlotte Flair is not going to win that too.
Oh,
I think she's going to come in and
Charlotte
get a 3-way at the end, and Charlotte's going to somehow still be the Queen of the Ring.
Man, Charlotte and Bianca Belair and Sasha. Oh my God, unbelievable! Just it's such a missed opportunity.
You talk about those matches. Well, those two women's matches on Friday were way longer than Bianca Belair's match at Ranger Stadium.
We're getting back to Diva Land again. Oh, my God. All right, well, we're going to take a break. We've got a lot more coming at you here on the Mark Hoke Show. New championship announced in AEW. I think they were listening to me, and we'll review Dynamite, Rampage, Raw, SmackDown, and some other matches with GCW and MLW. We'll be right back.
1015 FM, 720 AM. KDON, the talk of Las Vegas.
This is the Mark Hoke Show. The Mark Hoke Show. Here again, your host, Mark Hoke.
I'm boozing out over here to that music.
You got to stand on the table.
Oh, not a chance.
Well, that'd be McAfeeing out.
Yeah, that would be McAfee out. I'm Mark Hoke. Thanks for being with us on the Mark Hoke Show, the #1 professional wrestling show in Las Vegas and gaining traction around the world. Yikes. It's pretty crazy, Fish.
People know a good product when they hear it.
They do. Andrew Fish Fain and Joe DeFalco of Future Stars of Wrestling joining me in the world of professional wrestling. It's a hoot.
Do we get to talk about Corey Graves?
Did you let did you let your radio station know we're probably going to go over a little bit like Raw this week?
God, I wish we could. I think there's a lot of people out there that wish we would.
Yeah, we get to discuss Corey Graves blasting poor Dana Brooke.
Oh, God, there's so many things we could talk about. Yeah, you know what? Let's talk about that. I do believe I have that story ready here. Give me 1 second.
I have never heard a WWE announcer blast someone the way he blasted her on air.
Yeah, give me a second. Let me find that real quick. Here it is. Okay, I got it.
She must have heat with his girlfriend.
You would think. Well, that's why Carmelo's on Raw now.
So
there you go.
So Corey Graves is a commentator on WWE Raw. Was doing a match between Dana Brooke and Shayna Baszler. Here was his quote during the match. I'm all for giving people time to develop, giving people time to realize their potential, but on a long enough timeline, you got to cut your losses. Talking about Dana Brooke. You can give me a chest full of tools. That doesn't mean I can build you a house, okay? It's a matter of putting things together, and Dana Brooke, in my opinion, hasn't exactly done that.
And it was the way he said it, too.
Oh, little razor blade to the shoulder there. That wasn't good. So Brooke fires back on Instagram, and that was just bizarre. There were so many emojis and crazy stuff in there. You cannot entertain everything regardless if it's indirect or direct. Let people know what they do best. Talk. Y'all act like y'all gonna die because somebody said something about you. It is not that deep. You cannot stop and throw stones at every dog that barks. Once you entertain a clown,
how many cliches is she gonna do?
Clown. I'm the clown. We're not done. You the clown. I'm the queen. Keep pushing back. Throw. Watch me work.
I thought they were taught in WWE to no sell.
Yeah. Whose side are you on, Joe DeFalco?
It's wrestling, it's probably to set something up. I never believed pretty much anything. Like, oh my God, they shot on each other, and it's like, yeah, probably not. But when it's done well, it gets people talking. The problem is, I don't think anybody cares. You know what I mean? It's like,
I agree.
When you're taking your shots, taking a shot at the number 16 woman on the roster isn't gonna spark anything. You know what I mean? And it's like there probably is. Like when we deal with it, and we see animosity, we see little issues, whatever. We try to play off on it because the people want to believe the realism. Mm-hmm. And the more you can make people believe, the more that they get enthralled into the situation. And, the old, good old, oh, I think you really hit him. Oh, I can't believe what he said. When Scott Steiner said it, yeah, he was all over the place. He meant it. So you didn't want to miss anything Scott Steiner said.
Braun Breaker's got a lot of that in him, too.
Fish, you brought it up.
Yeah.
And, things have changed. Everything's pretty much scripted. The WWE is more scripted than the show heels. So
yeah, that is very true.
Yeah,
Fish, what do you think about it?
Yeah, there's no way that Corey Graves said this off the cuff. he had to have been told to say it. The only thing I can think is now all of a sudden Dana Brooke who we haven't seen in months, is now wrestling in the Queen's Crown tournament.
Well, and she's losing matches all over the place,
right?
too.
But she's taking on Shayna Baszler, who I think everyone thinks, oh, this is going to be an easy win for Shayna Baszler. What if they have Dana Brooke now winning the Queen's Crown tournament and sort of going, see, Corey, I'm not that bad, and that's how that's what as stupid as a setup as that was.
But this is just my problem with the whole thing. As nice as Dana Brooke seems, and she got pulled up way too early when she first started her career in WWE. She was not ready to come up from NXT at all. They rushed it. I remember there was an injury situation or something that pulled her up. I just don't think she's that good.
No, she isn't.
And I'm not. And Dana's sorry, but I just don't enjoy watching her wrestle.
It's almost like you can see her count in her head. It's like when a bartender's doing a pour and you can see him counting the pour count. That's what she's doing in the ring. You can almost see her trying to choreograph her moves. Like, you got to stop that. You got to make it flow.
So now if you're gonna push Dana Brooke, but the thing is, does she really? I mean, time wise, sure, she probably could deserve a push, but does she really deserve it?
No.
So what was the point of all this?
To get people talking, and it worked. And again, it only worked because you never hear. They're never told to talk bad about a wrestler. They're always put him in the best light possible, and that's not what Corey Graves did. So to me, it was shocking. Not because whether I thought it was a shoot or a work. It was that they actually did it and they said it, and I was like, wow, that's not something you hear from one of the announcers.
Yeah. So there's that situation. While we're on women. The women's side of things, AEW announced the TBS championship. So remember when Mark Hoke said something about a WWE Intercontinental title? Well, AEW beat him to it. So we're going to have a secondary title in AEW, which personally I think is a great idea. What do you think, Joe?
I'm looking forward to the new WWE FS1 title. So... why are they naming it? I guess TV title's fine, but again, it's just to add more belts. Like, why is the TBS title so you can't defend it? So if you wrestle on TNT, are you not like the champ?
Yeah,
are you not allowed on that show? Are they doing a brand split? It's like
not big on the name, but they have it. But they did the TNT title for the men, so they did. The TBS.
No, but my issue with it. Especially in the women's division is always going to be smaller than the men's division. It's just the fact of the way it is. So adding that second belt waters down the meaning of the top belts.
But they've got a pretty deep women's division too. In AEW, they really do.
I mean, I think the fact that they have women's tag team champions in WWE is ridiculous. They don't have enough teams to defend it
now. They blew that because when they had some legit teams. Now
like
they
the
don't.
Iconics, who are now, what are they? They're called something else in TNA. They're just going to join TNA, and they're called something else.
It's like, did you see Impact? Now they have the social media, basically, belt.
Yeah.
Like, what are you, defending it on Facebook?
Let's play Metroid online for the title. Come on. That one's silly. But
they've watered down championships so much that, I always knew who the champ was. It's like, oh, yeah, he won. Oh, he's the champ now? Like, who cares? They change belts more than they change underwear.
Yeah, but I don't have a problem with having a secondary title for the women. I'd rather see that than a tag title. Because
don't they already have a tag title?
In WWE,
they don't have one in AEW?
No, not in AEW. And honestly, I don't think you should. It just doesn't.
Yeah, they draw the line on that one.
Yeah. Well, my only problem is that how many women are coming up as a tag team? Nobody. You don't have established women's tag teams on the independent scene and in major organizations. It's just not there.
Absolutely none.
Yeah,
the only thing is, like, if somebody's in a faction and they're two women, they kind of align, which we've done on occasion, but. Everybody's an individual, and when we do tag matches, it's just, two heels against two faces.
Right. So there's no point. I wanted to mention a couple of the wins, and I know Joe's going to love this one. Major League Wrestling, which is on after Dark Side of the Ring on Vice. Good organization. Hammerstone, baby.
Hammerstone, are you kidding me?
Wins the title over Jacob Fatu. Good match. Joe, you had to be excited to see that, I would imagine.
Of course, I knew it was. It's been like a year in the making. Like they didn't want to do it during the pandemic, and Alex had basically talked about it. And you never believe anything until it actually happens. In the wrestling business, but here's a guy that thanks to me, he's now the MLW champion. I take full credit
there you
for
go.
everything that Hammerstone has done in this business. But to be honest, he's one of the most sincere, honest, best dudes there is. We talk about who our champs were, Brian Cage and LA Knight and Cross and Chris Bay. And I universally tell everybody that Hammerstone is the best champion I've ever had. He goes in the locker room, he comes in from Phoenix, and he is a true leader. And he has gotten everything that he deserves. A few years back, we were trying to get him through Impact when we were doing the tryouts there and stuff. And he was perceived as a, Triple H ripoff. He had the long hair and, the tights, and it was like, people would call him, basically Triple H light and blah, blah, blah. So when they went to the tryout, Scott D'Amore, who runs Impact, D'Lo Brown, at the time Sanjay Dutt, who's now went from WWE to AEW, and the biggest misconception was, we don't want to bring him in because it's like we're taking Triple H light. So word got to Hammerstone between the day of the tryout because they were going to use him on Impact the next day and for a taping that they were doing here in Vegas. The next day, Hammerstone showed up with his hair cut and a totally different, like he went to Savers and got totally different gear because he wanted to prove that he was more than that. And for some reason, they dropped the ball on him at Impact. But Conan, who has a lot of juice in this business and works for 147 different wrestling promotions around the world, saw Hammerstone, hooked him up with Court at MLW, and the rest is history. Impact lost out, and MLW signed Hammerstone. And again, here's a guy who's so loyal that they don't even barely run shows, but he's signed on, and he can't go to WWE or AEW, which I'm pretty sure, there's these companies are clawing to get a guy who's 26, 27 years old, looks fantastic, great in the locker room. He checks all the boxes. He's a star.
Yeah, and it's an awesome win for him, so congratulations to Hammerstone. Another guy that got a win last night, and not so sexy fashion, as we'll say. Game Changer Wrestling, Jon Moxley against good old Nick Gage, and dear God, Moxley wins the match.
It's a bloodbath.
I was on Twitter getting ready to promote the show, and I saw the pictures. And I showed him to Fish. I know Moxley's enjoying this. That's great. But Moxley's body was destroyed. Absolutely destroyed.
And I know, and you're right, he does enjoy it, but and I don't know if he realizes it, maybe he has too much to lose now to do these kind of matches.
Yeah, and Renee Paquette, his wife.
Not when you do it because you love it. He's been a deathmatch wrestler. Money doesn't mean anything. I've said it before. He's come in, he's trained at the facility a few times, and trying to book him is an impossibility. He's not worried about money. He does not care. He obviously has more than enough. He does what he loves to do. And if he wants to get carved up, that's what he does. He is as good a shoot fighter, MMA. He's at Couture Gym all the time. So he'll be on every blood sport show, and his boys with GCW owner Brett, who they know each other from CZW, and he loves it. And, some people love certain things, and he loves death matches.
But here's my problem. If your wife puts up a tweet that says, I absolutely hate this, plus you just had a kid too. And
that's what I was talking to him more than his wrestling career. I was talking more about the fact that he now has a wife and kid.
Yeah, I mean, and you see the pictures of him after that match. Boy, I'll tell you, you got to wonder. I mean, he's loving it, he's enjoying it, but man, you got to have people in your life too. And
it's fake blood. It wasn't real.
I don't know. Well, those cuts on his back didn't look real good. They didn't look good. He looks pretty beat up. So if that was all faked, then wow.
Nah,
God bless GCW.
I'm only kidding, but yeah.
Jesus, I mean,
he's a guy who does what he loves. There's people that I've dealt with that everything's about the money, and then there's guys I've dealt with that they could care less. They love wrestling. They want to do this. They want to do that. Him and Nick Gage are tight. Moxley's tight with Sami Callihan. They had a tag team back in the day. Sami runs the show, and Moxley's there. I guarantee you Moxley, who could probably get $10,000 for a show, is just like when he did our show. Like, we weren't paying him that kind of money. He did it and was like, hey, whatever you want to pay me type of thing, because he didn't care about the money. He's making it everywhere else. He's just there to have fun and do whatever he likes.
Well, speaking of having fun and doing whatever we like, you know what time it is, guys? It is time for our own...
Hammer time?
No, it's not hammer time. It's time for the snap call. It's time for the snap call. There we go. I don't think that's right.
No,
that is incorrect, Picasso.
we're going to have a snap call without music. Just go.
There it is.
Because we like to make our guests squirm and suffer. Let's put them through the toughest grind in professional wrestling. Get ready, everyone. It's time for the snap call.
There we go. Our own Picasso Stevens, who I will never criticize on air because he's kind of like a little smaller version of Johnny K9 from, you saw The Dark Side of the Ring this week. He'll hurt you. He's giggling in there. He knows I'm telling the truth. All right. We ask a series of questions to our guys. Give you a few possible answers. You pick your favorite. Ready?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. Let's do this king and queen of the ring question. Most likely WWE, I'm calling them the homecoming court. Woods and Vega, Balor and Baszler, Natalya and Kofi. Fish.
Well, it's Balor and Baszler. There's no question.
Joe?
I missed the play. I didn't hear the question.
The WWE homecoming court. Who's going to win the two tournaments?
Oh.
Woods and Vega, Balor and Baszler, or Natalya and Kofi? I made some interesting pairings there. So.
I'm going to say if I have to pick one. I don't really like those options, but I'll say Natalya and Kofi. Got to give Kofi something. He hasn't been doing nothing.
I think that would actually be cool. I'd like to see Natty win the tournament.
I don't think she stands a shot. I think they're putting a rocket on Baszler's back now after keeping her down and making her look like an idiot for a while. They made her, and I think she's winning, and that's why I think Balor's going to win as well.
After the treatment of the WWE Women's roster this week, how will the ladies respond? A very large amount of simultaneous maternity leave requests on John Laurinaitis' desk. Linda and Stephanie go on a sex strike. Or a little visit to Vince's office by Andrade, Aleister Black, Killian Dane, Seth Rollins, Ric Flair, Bret Hart, and The Rock.
We'll go with the last one, a little visit to the office.
The hubbies and the dads, not pleased. Joe?
Yeah, because the girls are just happy to have a job, so the guys will be the ones.
Wow. Please address all tweets to Joe DeFalco.
Oh, my God. Someone started a rumor this week that Jim Cornette was going to AEW to manage FTR, which Cornette absolutely denied. But would it be a good idea to bring Jim Cornette into the AEW fold? Yes, his knowledge and promo ability would be invaluable. Maybe as long as Tony Khan just had him be a personal consultant. Or no way super kick party the second he walked in the door, Fish.
No way super kick party the second he walked in the door. He's been blasting that AEW product, so no chance.
Joe?
Controversy, creates cash. You got to bring Jim Cornette in. And he feuds, and he brings in a team to take out the Young Bucks. Bring back the Midnight Express, baby.
That would be fun.
They had the Rock and Roll Express. Where's the Midnight Express?
Yeah, well, unfortunately, Bobby Eaton's gone, but...
Yeah. Well, they can go back to the guy I don't like, Condrey.
Yeah, Dennis Condrey and Sweet Stan. There we go.
That'd be all right. When this coming Friday night is over, who will have more egg on their face? Vince McMahon, Tony Khan, or Fish after an unfortunate breakfast time kitchen accident?
Me after an unfortunate kitchen time breakfast accident, because they're still making money no matter how much who wins the ratings war.
Joe?
Exactly. So it's your boy Fish.
If Hammerstone was offered a contract with WWE, what would happen to his ring name? As we all know, the Vince doesn't like to keep things the same. But one option, Vince will realize it's a cool name and keep it. Change it to Nail Gun Boulder. Change it to Freeway Al Flintstone, because his name's Alex Road. Or no way it's happening, Hammerstone is all elite. Fish.
I would like to think the first one, that they would recognize that it's a great name, but he's going to change it to the second one, not the Fred Flintstone one, but
Nail Gun Boulder.
Nail Gun Boulder.
Joe?
That's a WWE name.
Yeah, I think they would change it. Like, to me, something would be something with Pebble in it is probably.
I couldn't do that to Hammerstone. I was not going to do that. I was going to go Al Pebble, but I decided to go Flintstone. Last one. Simple question. Where's Elias? On the set of Dancing with the Stars, waiting for The Miz to get eliminated so he can attack him with band instruments on the show, trying to convince Aaron Stevens and Eric Rowan to come back to WWE with him as the new Moondogs. It's all sporting the beards.
I got it.
Or walking with his WWE check to the bank, smiling all the way. Fish.
Walking with his WWE check to the bank, smiling all the way.
Joe.
I think he's actually hanging out with Corbin on the strip begging for money.
And Madcap Moss.
Oh,
and then I did want to bring up that you haven't brought up, the Briscoes showed up in GCW yesterday.
Oh, that's right. I missed that. I didn't run down through the whole card. I saw what happened. By the way, we survived the Snapcall.
Is GCW and Ring of Honor working together?
That would be interesting. Jeez.
Because GCW announced they're going to be at the Hammerstone Ballroom, where the first Raw was, and Ring of Honor has had a lot of big shows there. Thunder Rosa even showed up on GCW.
Yeah, she did. And by the way, Matt Cardona got a win thanks to a little over Effie for the Internet Championship against his GCW career. Chelsea Green was disguised and came in and gave a little wave shot.
Didn't Matt Cardona's girlfriend put up tweets about how horrible it was that Matt had all the blood from his match with Nick Gage?
Of course.
I guess she's okay now that she's getting the big thing.
She's all right.
Yeah.
Well, that was a fun snap call, by the way, guys. So we'll put a little bow on that.
Yeah, it was okay.
Oh, thanks, Joe.
Yeah,
you want to write it?
Face.
Why don't you guys write one next week? Huh? There you go.
How come you never answer any of them?
Do you want me to answer them? I could.
Well, you're the one who creates them, so you must have an opinion.
Well, of course I do.
Yeah.
All right. I'll start answering from now on. We'll start getting some other guests in here soon. So, but let's see what else. A couple of the things that wanted to hit on here real quick. Reggie Parks. For those of you that don't know who Reggie Parks is, I thought this would be a nice story to tell real quick. He was the legendary belt maker, made the classic Intercontinental title the probably, I don't know if it's the favorite WWE title, but it might be the Eagle belt. Among many others, had a long career and then started making belts for everybody. Parks passed away the other day at the age of 87, and so many people came out and just said how amazing a person he was. And, of course, we remember his work quite a bit. So, Reggie Parks.
I'm surprised he didn't get a 10-bell salute.
No, we're not.
Yeah, he's a guy who would show up at the CAC reunion in Vegas every year. And they always did a raffle. And, he would make a belt and they would have a raffle and one person would win a Reggie Parks belt. Definitely top of the line.
Yeah, so Reggie Parks gone at the age of 87, so we say goodbye to him.
We all wish we could live that long.
Yes, we do. That's for sure. Unfortunately, I don't have time, but I'm going to put this up on Facebook for everybody. Saw on Facebook a copy of the 1974 NWA official wrestling rules. I'm going to post that on our Facebook page so you guys can see that because that is hilarious. It was something having this all broken down. But the NWA, by the way, offered a $50 reward for information leading to the arrest and conviction of persons throwing objects in the arena during wrestling matches. So $50. Joe, what's your reward if you bust somebody for that?
Tell you can get that. You can use that $50 and come to an FSW show. 2 people get ringside in some cases.
There you go. By the way, how was your show? I wanted to give you a second to talk about that real quick.
Oh, yeah, we had a really good show yesterday. You know, at the school shows, there's so many of them, so they're a little lighter. But we had some, major things happen. We're setting up for our No Escape event in November, which usually features 3 or 4 steel cage matches. So right now we're looking at a main event of Hammerstone actually against Brian Cage. So
wow, that's a hell of a main event.
I'm there.
Yeah,
I'm taking the night off.
And Chris Bay's been feuding with our No Limits champion Ice Williams, and we're probably going to do that one in a cage too. Also looking at bringing in Tom Lawler. So
wow, that sounds like a blast. Picasso, guess what? You're working that night, buddy. Sucks to be you. Hey, want to Picasso's giving me the throat slash. Hey, we want to thank all our new listeners out there we saw in Switzerland, Thailand, and Ukraine. Follow the show at Mark Hoke Show on Twitter, Facebook, The Mark Hoke Show. Podcasts are available at markhokeshow.podbean.com, plus all your favorite podcasts outlet. Fish and Joe, great show. Thanks, guys.
Thank you very much, sir.
You guys are awesome. Hey,
see ya.
We'll see you next week on The Mark Hoke Show. Thanks for joining us here on KDWN.